Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby. The first season of Gleipnir comes to a close, and the final episode just makes me want to see a second season immediately. This is a show that gets better with every single episode, and I can honestly say that episodes 12 and 13 have completely changed the entire game of Gleipnir. Not only were we introduced to a number of new characters which all have ties to Shuichi's past, but one of them just so happens to introduce themselves as the main villain of the entire series. Episodes 12 and 13 of Gleipnir were tense, they were uncomfortable, and they were horrifying. These last two episodes sort of reminded me that while this series does have a lot of cool action scenes and crazy kooky monsters, at its core, it is a disturbing body horror series, and it doesn't get any creepier than these last two episodes. So let's just go ahead and dive right into it. There's just so much to freaking talk about with these episodes that it just completely disturbs me on every level. So Episode 12 is interesting as we finally start to get into the backstory of Shuichi and getting to learn what his relationship is with all of these students that went to that cram school when he was younger, and overall his relationship with Elena and how it relates to all of these other characters who are going after the alien coins. In particular, a brand new character who goes by the name of Kaito, who was introduced in the previous episode, who is this guy who seems to be protecting the crash site of the alien ship. Now, when I reviewed that episode, I originally thought that his special powers essentially allowed him to summon some sort of weird, creepy ghost girl, a girl that took the form of someone that he loved just a few months prior, a girl that he grew up being completely obsessed with. And I feel that his powers basically allow him to summon like a weird ghostly version of her who can outright kill people with a giant sword or even with an even more disturbing method. It's still kind of hard to say what the deal is with this character of Kaito, but in the span of 2 episodes, they let you fully understand what he's entirely all about and what sort of powers he's actually obtained and how far he's willing to go with them. So, without further ado, let's just jump into this crazy batshit backstory of Kaito and Shuichi and everything that's going to be happening in the future of Gleipnir. So we get to learn that only a few months prior to all of this crazy shit going on, that Shuichi and all of his friends were still hanging out and doing their very own thing. We get to see that there was Shuichi and Elena, who seemed to have a pretty friendly relationship, which bordered on actually being boyfriend and girlfriend. You had their friend Naoto and his girlfriend Aiko, as well as Honoka and Kaito. Now, Honoka is a girl who was introduced in the previous episode, and she's sort of indirectly responsible for everything that's actually been going on in the series. She's the one who told the alien that they're going to have this big competition to find all these coins and people could find them and gain crazy powers. In a way, it's all of this girl's fault. But we never knew what her true motives behind meeting this alien were, that is until episode 12 and 13 of the series. So we get to see that these characters knew each other when they were younger, and they get to have a big reunion together, with all of them coming together just to have some fun, with Shuichi, Elena, Kaito, Naoto, and Aiko. However, Honoka is missing, and the implication originally in the episode is that she's just sort of disappeared. She's gone. Something bad happened with her father, who supposedly got into some sort of accident, maybe killed someone, maybe he was killed, and she was sort of abandoned by her other family and went off to go do something else. This visibly disturbs Kaito, as he was obsessed with her and completely in love with her at this point, and his friends are basically not trying to make too big a deal of it and just realizing that there's nothing they could have done and they should just go about their normal lives. It's actually Naoto's girlfriend Aiko who suggests they should just let it go and be done with it. This is something that freaks out Kaito to the point where he actually notices that there's something not quite right about Aiko. There's something different about her. This is also made more clear by the fact that her boyfriend Naoto says that Aiko's different. She's not the same person that she actually was originally. That's when we get the disturbing revelation as Kaito follows her to where the alien is, and he learns that this current Aiko is not the real one, but is in fact Honoka, who has taken the form of Aiko. Now, while this might seem a little confusing, we get to learn a little bit more as the episode goes on. Apparently, we get to learn that the real Aiko was actually a very disturbed person, and she was also pushed to the brink of suicide by being bullied at school, to the point where she actually decided that she was going to kill herself. And to make matters more disturbing, she even hung herself on a tree that was on the same property where they went to the cram school. Honoka was the very first person to actually find her in this state. Now, this isn't initially known at first. The first implication is that Honoka actually killed Aiko and has taken her very form away. This is what Kaito even thinks is actually going on, and this of course upsets him to the point where he tries to find her, learns that the real Aiko is gone and Honoka has taken her form, and he takes it upon himself to quite literally kill her by choking her and hanging her on a tree. It's not until later where he learns the disturbing fact that apparently Honoka was the first one to find Aiko when she died, and rather than having the truth come out about her, she decides to take her form, knowing that in this world, no one even cared about Honoka at all. No one noticed her. She decided that Aiko was such a loving person and everyone cared about her so much that in order not to upset anyone, she decided to take her brand new form. This explains why Naoto realizes that Aiko is a little different, and why, of course, Kaito sees that something is not quite right about her character. Now, the reason that this is so disturbing and upsetting is because Kaito actually ended up killing her without realizing what was truly going on. He felt that Honoka was actually a murderer, someone who went as far as to actually kill someone to take their identity, when in reality, she was simply doing it to sort of like not hurt her friends and Aiko's family. She felt that she herself was a lost cause, and it's made even more distressing by the fact that there was someone in that world who cared about her. It was Kaito. She just didn't realize it. That and the fact that she also seemed to have feelings for Naoto as well. So you can see how this entire big love triangle thing just turned into this massive miscommunication, which ultimately led to not only the death of a character, but also the death of a massive friendship amongst all of these characters. Kaito is so upset by his actions that he basically loses all of his humanity. He even goes to the alien himself and uses that coin to become some sort of empowered being. Now, it's not said in these episodes, but I'm assuming Kaito might be the very character who has already collected 100 coins, which has given him an incredibly powerful form. Basically, the ability to summon Honoka, or he somehow revived her as some sort of weird, disturbing ghost. And this is where things start to become clear. Basically, we get to see that Elena and her group, of which Naoto is actually a part of, are desperately trying to stop Kaito from doing what he's doing. They want to put an end to all of this. Kaito is revealed as the main villain of the series, and it's a shocking twist, and the fact that it all happens in the span of a single episode is just mind-blowing. Episode 12 is an episode which disturbed me, and I honestly had to, take a break after watching that episode. I couldn't immediately jump to 13. I had to sort of process everything that I saw, and man, I have to say, it was just freaky as all hell. The scene where Kaito goes to the alien and you can tell that he's just sort of lost everything in his life, including his very own sense of humanity, and he's displayed as this weird skeletal creature, is disturbing as all hell. It's one of the scariest images that I've actually seen from the show. Episode 13, however, is where shit just hits the freaking fan. This is where everything goes nuts and the revelations get out there, and we even get to learn a little bit more about how Shuichi actually lost all of his memories, and how it's all sort of Elena is the one who's actually been doing this entire time, and she hasn't been doing it to do malicious things. She's actually been doing it to actually help out Shuichi. She's been doing it to protect him from Kaito and the evil ghost version of Honoka, who is literally just going around this city and has become sort of like an urban legend at this point. She's the illuminated girl, where she will appear before you, ask you what her name is, and if you can't answer it, you're basically going to straight up be erased and die. It is freaky as hell. Even when the scene where we get to see that one of the bullies who drove her to this, who seems to have a little bit of remorse, but all at the same time is still happy to get away with this, does end up getting killed in the process. This ghost version of Honoka is absolutely disturbing. But let's get to Shuichi. How did he lose his memories in the first place, and what's really going on with him? This becomes clear after a scene where Claire says, hey, let's just hang out one night. Let's rent a movie. Let's go to your house and have some fun. Which I honestly thought was going to be a nice tender moment for the characters to have a little bit of alone time and maybe even a little bit of lovey-dovey moments. No, this is Gleipnir. Things get really fucked up when we get to learn that apparently Shuichi's parents have been dead for quite some time, and he lives in a house which is covered with dirt and soot and dust and all types of nastiness, and essentially he doesn't actually see the truth that's before his eyes. And that's because at some point in the past, when Elena was with him and they were about to be attacked by Honoka and he was going to be erased, she decided to forcibly erase his memories with her abilities. Apparently that's just something that she can do. This resulted in Honoka not being able to destroy Shuichi, but also losing everything that he was in the process, as well as the memories of the death of his parents, just assuming that they're always out on business and they come home late. That's just the way that things are actually going here. He eventually does get these memories back in a very creepy scene where it looks like he's almost going to forcibly put himself on top of Claire, but luckily he stops himself at the last second. This all comes to a head at the end of the episode where everybody finally starts to communicate, with Yoshioka and Koyanagi's group coming together saying that they're going to be giving all of the coins to Elena, and then eventually making it seem like they're going to be giving it to Shuichi, and all these characters end up meeting at a riverbank, and you have Elena and Shuichi, who has been enlightened to everything that's going on, and a big battle scene ensues, and it is really well animated and looks awesome. It's pretty clear that a couple of episodes in the series were dedicated to just really good animation, and they brought good people in on them, and damn, they just really looked great in the scene. Like, I cannot describe how good it looked, how fluid it was, how fast it was, and again, it's one of those scenes that make you forget that Shuichi is in a big, ridiculous, goofy mascot costume. Like, it's amazing that he's able to move this fast and even hold his own against Elena in a really intense scene. But shit hits the fan yet again when suddenly the weird freaky ghost Honoka appears and confronts Shuichi directly, putting him in some sort of weird freaky like inner mind world, sort of like a purgatory, so to speak, where multiple clones of her appear, and no matter how many of them he destroys, he can't seem to stop them, knowing that it's only a matter of time before he himself and Claire are erased. Luckily, Elena is able to snap him out of all of this, and Honoka leaves, declaring that eventually, of course, she will return. And man, what a creepy scene it was. The series ends essentially with all of the characters preparing to go on their next big adventure, with Shuichi and Claire joining up with that big guy from a couple of episodes ago, which I'm really glad to finally see him return. We get to see that Elena and their group are preparing to go on like their big mission to take down Kaito, who is desperately waiting for any opponent who dares to take him on. Really, this is just a prologue to the next big part of Gleipnir, and what a freaking prologue it was. So, what's the rundown on both of these episodes of Gleipnir? This is one of the best anime of the season. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if they don't like it for the violence or the fan service. This was a roller coaster. This was a horrifying series from beginning to end, and these last couple of episodes just really freaked me out in so many different ways. And it was done with great style, great animation, and good production value. And something that I don't think the series gets enough praise for is the freaking music. I don't know what it is about this show, but the score amplifies every single freaking scene, whether it be the creepy moments, the sad moments, the action moments. The music in this show is just as much of a character as everyone else, and I really think that's something that's fun to praise. It's not too often that I see an anime series with a musical score that makes me want to just listen to it by itself. This is a series that does that, and it manages to do like different tracks throughout most of the series, and man, it just works so well in this one. But I really loved the fact that we finally got to learn some big answers in these last couple of episodes. I mean, it's surprisingly easy and complex all at the same time, but man, these last two episodes, it almost felt like a completely different series. I was actually starting with the introduction of all of these characters, getting to learn how Shuichi lost his memory and how it was all tied to this crazy event which happened, which was simply kicked off by a girl named Honoka. That is honestly what I think is most surprising about all of it. You expected something a little more elaborate in how it all actually went down, but it's this weird, creepy, centralized story about how all of these friends sort of ended up losing touch with one another and how it evolved into this massive story of aliens and monsters, revenge, death, suicide, and violence. It is a crazy kind of dance, and it's pulled off so well in Gleipnir. Now, I've never read the manga version. I've only watched the anime, but this desperately makes me want to look at the manga just to see what's going to happen next. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait a little bit before if they make a formal announcement to see if the series is going to be returning. I'm really hoping that we're going to get a second season of the show, because I honestly think that this is going to be one of the most underrated hits of the year. I know that a lot of people like it and a lot of people are talking about it, but I feel like a lot more people should be watching this show right now. It has got some surprisingly good things going for it, and I can honestly say of all the shows that I've watched so far in 2020, it's been probably the most pleasant surprise. It's the one that I looked at on the outside and thought that this was just going to be a cheap, dumb, stupid show, but it ended up being surprisingly more complex than I could have possibly expected, and it makes me just want so much more. Not to mention, there's nothing else like this. This is a very unique kind of anime series. I can't really compare it to anything else that I've seen personally. I mean, for a lot of other people who watch just about every anime in the world, there might be something similar to Gleipnir, but I can honestly say that for me, this was a singular and intense anime experience, and I can't wait to see more. This was the very first season of Gleipnir. I really hope there's going to be more. I'm going to give both of the final episodes a 5 out of 5. I thought they were some of the best of the entire series, atmospherically speaking, character-driven, and the action and the creepy moments just hit 10 out of 10 every single time. They were great. I loved them. So there it is. That's my thoughts on Gleipnir. I'd love to get your thoughts about the entire season, these final 2 episodes overall, and if you would like to see a future for the anime version of Gleipnir. What did you think about the big revelations in these last 2 episodes? The brand new villainous character of Kaito, the ghostly Honoka, and what about Shuichi losing his memories thanks to Elena? And, of course, tell me about all your favorite moments from this season and what you hope to see from the future. Just let's have a big discussion about Gleipnir, all in the comments section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please transform into your big monster form and hit that like button. And, of course, if you want to go the extra mile in supporting the channel, please check out my Patreon. If you make a small donation, I'll review an anime series of your choice. And also, the big 2020 summer anime season is about to start. If you guys have any shows that you guys would like me to check out, please leave your suggestions in the comment section. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.